What is going on, guys? Snickel here, and today I have another trophy talk for you. This is going to be for the week of February 21st, 2021. And it really hasn't been too crazy of a week. I've been putting a lot of time into one single game, and I kind of have a way better grasp and understanding of it. But I will definitely talk about that in this video. But anyway, to get started, let's talk about what I have been playing this week. So to start off, I did get the platinum in Wreckfest. That was a lot of fun. I only had to get one more trophy, which was the Maniac Driver, which was to just wreck 50 opponents with the school bus. So that wasn't too bad. Finished that up. Great little fun game to play, and I really was craving to play a racing game, and I think that really helped me out there. So got that platinum done. That was good. And then I've been putting all of my time into Marvel's Avengers. And last week when I talked about this game, I didn't really understand the concept of the game, and now I think I understand it a lot better as I've been playing it. So what I did last week was I played and beat the campaign, which you kind of have to do in order to get to like the end game content, which makes sense. I mean, a lot of these games as a service, you have to like play through the story to access the end game content. That's why it's called end game content. I was a little confused with the game because I figured that they would give you access to the heroes, and the multiplayer would be like a separate function of the single player, but it's actually not. It's like intertwined in a way, and your single player characters use gear from the multiplayer. They're all linked together, needless to say. So the one of the same. But what I did last week was I did play through the single player, which is all these trophies at the bottom, and then I started grinding out, and I think I basically know the strategy that I'm going to be using to kind of get through this game. And the strategy is that I'm going to work on getting one character up to power level 150, which will get me probably level 50 as well. It will. And then I'll get a few other characters up to get the total power level 150 or 250. And then right now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on getting the factions up to 25 and doing villain sectors and doing assignments. You kind of do those hand in hand while getting the faction levels up to 25. And then the other thing is there was another thing that's kind of tied to that, which is to to fully upgrade a major artifact is also kind of tied to the assignments and the faction daily missions, because you need materials that you get from the dailies and the assignments to upgrade major artifacts. So, that takes a little bit of time. But yeah, I'm kind of just going through. There's a few trophies that I really want to look at, maybe trying to farm out, like doing the 30 depots or the 100 aim prisoners. I do want to focus on those at some point, but right now my main focus is just to get my character to level 150 and level 50, and then kind of go from there, which I'm pretty close to. I think I'm power level like 120 right now, and I've only probably played 10 or 15 hours of the quote unquote end game content. So it's really not too bad when it comes to leveling. I mean, it is slowing down a bit, but it's not awful when it comes down to it. Now, there are two trophies in the game that are somewhat glitched at the moment. Well, not somewhat, they are glitched. That being to defeat 10 or more enemies with a single heroic ability activation, and also to defeat 50 enemies with assault heroic or ultimate heroic abilities. Both of those trophies are glitched for some reason. If you go and you look at them, they haven't been earned since February 11th, 13th for some reason on this one. So I don't know what's going on there. Those should be fixed in a patch. I mean, it's been talked about, so, and I'm sure people have kind of got in contact with Square to kind of let them know, like, there's issues here. But that those trophies are glitched, which is kind of annoying. But all in all, it's the game is a grind, don't get me wrong, and the trophy that I'm kind of dreading going for is completing 50 hive missions, just because I feel like that's going to take a lot of time to do, and I'm going to start actually working on the hive missions probably tonight because I finally have access to them. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of playing through, and that's going to be a grind. But there's a few other, like, I would say challenge trophies that could be, a little annoying, but I don't think too annoying. That being to complete an elite heroic hive. And then I think that there's one, complete 30 war zones or challenges at challenge 3 or higher rating, which I should probably work on that now. But the war zones you can do anywhere. The hive ones you can kind of do anyway. It's weird. Like the missions, there's always missions to do in the game. There's always a mission to do, even though it's the same missions. Typically, there's always a mission to do. And then there's always like the daily and the daily like there's always stuff to do in the game, which makes sense because of what it is. But um, I wouldn't say it's my favorite game, and some of the stuff is definitely going to take a long time to get through, and you have to constantly sign on every single day in order to get assignments and earn faction XP and earn resources and stuff. You have to do that for some of the trophies, but other ones you can kind of just do and farm out, like the 30 missions or the 50 hive missions or the even like any of like the 50 cash strong boxes or the aim, the aim prisoners. Like you can kind of farm those in a way where some of the trophies you can't. You have to kind of get on daily and really focus on getting through the game. But I'm hoping to have this game done in the next week or two. I'm just putting a lot of time into it, and I'm trying to really knock it out because, like I said, it's not my favorite game right now, but I am playing it. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to I'm not going to put it down until it's done. Let's just put it that way. So that's been coming along, I would say pretty smoothly at the moment. The gameplay, like I said, the gameplay is repetitive. It's the same missions over and over again. I can kind of forgive that for a little bit. I don't know how long I'll be able to handle that, but I can forgive that for a little bit. But that's basically all I've been playing this week. Like I said, the upcoming week, I really want to focus on Marvel Avengers, but I don't know if it's going to be as I'm playing through Marvel Avengers or if it's going to be sometime in the future. Probably maybe both, but maybe leaning more towards sometime in the future. I do want to finish up or finish up a few multiplayer games and start on a few other PS3 multiplayer games just because I feel like I've been neglecting that, and there's been a lot that I really want to dive into. I would really like to finish up Enemy Front and Dark Awake, and then try to work on BioShock 2 because those are like three kind of big games on the list that like I would like to focus on or actively focus on. But then there's a few other games that I would like to start. Like I would like to do like Grid Autosport, and there's just other ones. I'm just kind of naming off the top of my head, but there's a few other ones that I would like to focus on as well. But all in all, my focus is probably going to be Marvel Avengers for the next week. I may do some stupid multiplayer games in between, and then we'll be getting back to the Hitman Star Wars rotation at some point. And I've been thinking about adding another like game or like kind of genre to the rotation because I've been kind of doing franchises, but I kind of want to maybe expand it and do franchises and then like a genre of game as well. And I mean that could be like racing games too, but that wasn't the genre I'm thinking about. That was just like my thought. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. That's what I plan on playing in the upcoming week. This is probably gonna be a short video just because I don't have too much stuff to talk about. And I've really just been playing the same game all week long, so there's not too much. But I am going to diverge into some topics that people brought up last week. If you guys do have any topics that you want me to discuss in any future trophy talks, you can leave those in the comments below. I will definitely field them and possibly include them in upcoming episodes. I typically will just include it in the episode after this one if I feel like the topic is like a valid topic, which they typically all are. You guys ask great questions, but yeah, let's get into it. So anyway, starting off, there was a topic last week that I discussed, which was kind of PS3 games with stupid multiplayer, but some of them actually being surprisingly fun where you wouldn't think they would be fun. And I was leaning more towards Resident Evil 6. I also brought up Uncharted, but there were some people that actually brought up some really good ones that I kind of glossed over that I would have to agree with. So starting off, there was a few comments about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood being a good multiplayer game to play that people really weren't expecting, and I would have to agree with that. So back when I was getting into trophy hunting and I originally started playing, I was playing AC2, and when I first saw and played AC2, I was kind of like, what's the point of this game? And then when I actually got it and played it for myself on my PlayStation 3 in my own time, because when I first played it, I was younger, I would say. I guess I wasn't like super young, but I played it at my cousin's house, and then like maybe like a year or two later, I ended up getting it for myself on my PS3. And it may not even have been that long, that much later. It feels like it was like years later, but now that I think about it, it probably wasn't. And as I was playing it, I was like, this is really fun. So I remember I was at school, and there was a kid that I talked to in school that also had a PlayStation 3 as well. And I was like, yo, like I just got done playing like AC2. Like I love the game and everything, but I was like, what would be awesome if they were to add some sort of like multiplayer. Now, when I said that, I meant more of like an open world multiplayer, not really a competitive, like, because I think at the time I was playing Red Dead, or I was gonna get into Red Dead, or I was playing like GTA or something. So I was like, it'd be cool if they had like an open world um like experience for Assassin's Creed. And I was like, I don't know how they would like implement it, but like that would be cool. Almost like a co-op, like an open world co-op ish type thing. So anyway, he was like, "Well, what are you talking about? Like like AC Brotherhood's about to come out. It's going to have multiplayer." And I was like, "Huh?" And then I remember I got it, and like, dude, I was addicted to AC Brotherhood multiplayer. I think I didn't mention that in the video last week because it was a multiplayer that I actually super like. It wasn't like underrated for me. It wasn't like out of the blue for me. It was something that like was so amazing, but it did come later in the franchise. It wasn't something that was like right away, which to be fair, I don't think a lot of games really plan on that being right away. When games kind of structure their game to be like multiplayer oriented or to be the next big esport game, they usually fail. A lot of games. There's a very small few that are structured around it that actually succeed, but a lot of the games that become super big esports games just started off as like little games that then were so well made that they turned into esports. Like one that I watch personally all the time is Rocket League, and Rocket League started off as just, well, it started off as supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle cars on the PS3, which evolved to Rocket League on the PS4, which was just, no one thought it would be like this crazy of a multiplayer game, and now it's like this, it's like a pretty big esport, and it's a solid game to play for an esport, but it wasn't structured around that. It just, that's what it became. But obviously, if you add multiplayer into a game, you do have to structure it in some way. But AC Brotherhood and the AC multiplayer from there on out. So basically, AC Brotherhood, Revelations at 3 and 4, technically, because those were the four that had the competitive multiplayer. I really enjoyed them, and I played the shit out of AC Brotherhood. And someone mentioned it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, so Hannibal and Daniel, no, not Daniel, Erica, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sheesh, I need to put my glasses on that I don't actually own. You guys both mentioned Assassin's Creed. Erica mentioned specifically Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Hannibal just mentioned just Assassin's Creed in general. But Brotherhood was just, let me look it up. Brotherhood, when it came out, like this was a game that I played the shit out of the multiplayer, and I was playing for quote unquote fun. Like this was before I was into like boosting games, so I was doing all of this shit like legitimate. And I remember going for like Abstergo Employee of the Month, and I remember going for like Role Model, especially getting all the co-op bonuses in one session. I remember going for that and just like I feel like I didn't go for it for a very long time, but like just going for that like game after game after game and then eventually getting it was like so satisfying. And I think at the time I just had so much knowledge of how the multiplayer worked and how you could kind of trick people into doing it because it was new to everybody at the time. And that's one of the things about games that have multiplayers. When they initially come out, typically they're very like under competitive, and people are just trying to figure out like how to work it. And at the time, like I would say that I was probably elevated above that, not trying to like toot my own horn because I hate being like that. I'm like a very humble person, but I would say that I was kind of like elevated above like knowing like certain tactics and stuff when it came to like being stealthy or tricking people or doing this or using abilities to kind of get people to fall for them. But as years go on, obviously the community evolves and kind of gets used to metas and stuff like that. But I remember going for these things and just at the time I was like, wow, this is just kind of like easy. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I remember, grinding out the freaking, the level 50. Look, I got this, and this was late for me back in the day, but I got this at like 1:15 a.m. But I remember grinding out that multiplayer day in and day out to get level 50, and it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. Assassin's Creed, like I said, I don't think I thought of Assassin's Creed as like a shoehorned multiplayer because it was just so natural. Like it honestly was just so natural to play with Brotherhood, and I really wish in in the new Assassin's Creed games they possibly bring back the competitive multiplayer or even the co-op. Man, like I would love to do the co-op. Like that would make me so happy because I feel like the co-op in Unity was just so good and it was just not utilized properly and people complained about it, and then people complained that Unity flopped because it was a bad game. No, Unity flopped because it was rushed and it was the development of it was kind of effed up. But once the patches came out and everything, it was a fantastic game. And that actually goes into a comment that we got from Nightwatcher saying that he platinumed AC Unity recently, and he went back and it's actually an amazing game. It's not polished, but it's a nice platinum to have in a good game to play. And I couldn't agree any more with this comment. Playing AC Unity when it came out, probably a mistake. A lot of funny things happened, but probably a mistake. Even going back and playing it now, you're going to run into a few glitches. Don't get me wrong. Are they game breaking? No, but they're just funny. Like whatever. Like unless my game save is getting corrupt or something's happening that's going to prevent me from beating the game or getting the platinum. If it's some stupid little fucking glitch and I fall through the map or I get stuck here, I do like whatever. Okay, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, going back and playing Unity now is got to be like the best thing ever. Like I debate going back and playing. I kind of hope that they do like even though I don't have a PS5, I kind of hope that they do like a remaster or something to be able to experience it and platinum it again, because that game was phenomenal. And to me, that has to be like in the top 3 best Assassin's Creed games from all aspects: map, parkour, story. Technically, that game, even though there's bugs, technically that game is a masterpiece, 1-to-1 scale. The amount of AI that can be on the screen at one time, it feels so alive because of everything that's going on around you. Some of like the Assassin's Creed games, you really feel like you're alone. And I think Unity like captures like being in there at that time period very well, and I just feel like it's a very like underappreciated game just because of the few bugs that it had when it came out. But if you haven't played Unity, play it. So then we have a comment here from Compass. He's basically saying that he never has difficulties kind of choosing his games because he has them sorted by release date. So if he doesn't have a game to play, he just goes to the bottom of the list, and it helps getting risky online shutdowns out of the way. I think that that's a great way of going about it, and I've told people that like same kind of method before as well, where if you don't really know what to do, just look at your oldest game on the list, see if it's obtainable. If it is, go for it. I'm kind of the same way when it comes to doing like multiplayer. I kind of try to focus on the older games rather than the newer games, because obviously the older games are going to be a little more of a pain in the ass to get done because you need to find people. People really aren't doing shit on the PS3 anymore, so it can be hard to find people for the PS3, and they can be jank. The servers can be messed up. There's all types of quirks with like older PS3 games that you kind of have to keep an eye out for. But they're the most fun to play, I feel like. So yeah, that's a great way of going through games. I think the franchise rotation also, or franchise and or genre rotation, really helps as well, because again, you don't have to focus on what your next game is, because you already know. If you know you're going to be playing these games over and over again, you already know that your next game is going to be this game, or it's going to be this game, or it's going to be in this franchise, or it's going to be in this genre. Like you already know that. You don't have to really think about it. But yeah, I did for a while, and I still to this day I do have issues sometimes kind of picking games that are outside of the franchise rotation and stuff. And a lot of people are probably asking, well, what made you want to do Marvel Avengers? Like that's so weird. It's a brand new game, but you typically don't do that. But like why? And I think the main, reason behind doing Marvel's Avengers was because I was trying to focus on that, and I want to focus on a few other newer games that are kind of more games as a service, because I look at like what happened with like Destiny and Destiny 2, where as the years go on, as DLCs come out, are certain trophies easier? Yes, but as the years go on, the player base dwindles, and you don't necessarily need a player base or players to play Marvel's Avengers with. But if you don't have anyone to go in and you're doing it all by yourself, I can see how it could totally be a pain in the ass. But I guess I was just focusing on it because it's more of a games as a service, and I would like to focus on some of these newer games as a service just to get them done and out of the way before they become completely dead. to put it nicely. But then we have a comment here from NCS fan, basically saying that saying good luck with the Resident Evils. Thank you. I'm gonna need it, especially with RE5. But you only focused on the numbered games, and the PS3 versions are easier because you can boost with multiple consoles, but they're all a grind. Completely agree. I mean, either one of these you can boost with multiple consoles. Well, PS3 is easier because you don't have to pay for online, so you could have you could do it by yourself if you wanted to. But like PS4, you can do it with at least 2 consoles because you can boost the game. You can use Plus on your main account on an alt account on another PS4 because you can do it only with 2 PS4s, I think. But yeah, I mean, the number ones are definitely the most important, but I definitely would like to play Revelations, Revelations 2, Raccoon City. I would like to play them all at some point, but yeah. Then we have a comment here from Andrew saying everyone slept on the Batman Arkham Origins multiplayer, and I agree with this one as well. The Arkham Origins multiplayer, going back and thinking about it, I think that it was partially ahead of its time. And it's definitely a game where the games before Arkham Origins, you wouldn't even be able to comprehend how a multiplayer would work for for an Arkham style game like that. But when Arkham Origins came out, yeah, I think that it had a great structured multiplayer. It made sense. It was a blast to boost when we did it, and you know, I think that it would be completely obtainable if people played the game. I think the other problem with Arkham Origins is not only did it have the multiplayer, but Arkham Origins just didn't have the following that it had because Rocksteady wasn't the one that was actually making the game, which I feel like definitely hindered it. Because when you talk about Arkham games, there's only a few amount of people that will even think about Arkham Origins in that franchise, let alone even like the game. Like, I think you're more of an outlier if you accept that game and if you like it than if you don't accept it and you kind of just like, yeah, I'm just gonna look past this. But I really enjoyed the Arkham Origins multiplayer. I would love to make a multiplayer trophy guide for it somewhat soon because I think it's a phenomenal game, and if you haven't done it, I would suggest to do that multiplayer because it's a lot of fun. You do need a few people. I think you need like 6 or 8, but that can be annoying, but it's fun. It's worth it. It's worth it. Plus, there's some funny glitches, so that's always fun. So then the last comment that we have of the day. Before I do this, let me get a little sip of water. So this is from Woody saying, I joined a couple of trophy hunting Facebook groups a long time ago, and I see a number of new users joining consistently. Do you think trophy hunting is gaining back some popularity? I know it was big during the PS3 era, then it died down, maybe with the new activity cards in the PS5. Gamers are more aware of trophies. Thoughts? So, I would say that trophy hunting was never a big thing. It was always a niche community, and I still consider it to be a niche community today, trophy or achievement hunting. There's definitely influences that have pushed it, mainly big channels like achievement hunters who have kind of pushed it along and kind of helped, or even people like PlayStation Access. If bigger companies were to kind of talk about, even for a little bit of time, or focus on trophies, like bigger gaming journalist companies, I guess you could say. I wasn't thinking if that was the right way of saying it. If they were to even mention trophies, I think or achievements, I think that it would help out even more. But I still think it's niche. Now on the PS3 originally, I don't think it was super big. And I think on the PS4 it got a little. I think it's never gone up, down, and back up. I think it's always been on a slow incline. It's always gone from like nothing to something. I think with the trophy cards, it's definitely helping. I think another thing that's really helping trophy hunting right now, and people get into trophy hunting, is and I like it, but I also don't like it, is that a lot of the big AAA games that are coming out, like the ones that are kind of focusing on everybody buying them, typically those trophy lists are a little easier than a lot of other games that are coming out. If you look at games like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2, Marvel's Spider-Man, a lot of these bigger games that are coming out are a lot easier, and they've been that way since probably the mid PS4 life cycle. Um, Games really don't require you. A lot of these big AAA games don't require you to play on the hardest difficulty. They don't really make you get all the collectibles. They only make you get some of them. So there's definitely, I think trophy lists have been getting easier, and as they get easier, more people are apt to do them because they see a few things popping up on the screen. They go and look at it and they say, well, I can do that. Or they're just doing it to start off with, and then they're getting rewarded. So I think that it's definitely been getting bigger as the time has been going on, just because lists have been getting easier. One big thing that I've noticed, though, and I've talked about this before on the podcast. If you guys haven't followed or subscribed to the podcast, there will be a link for it down below. We put an episode out every Wednesday. But one thing that we've talked about on the podcast is that it's almost as trophy hunting has evolved in the aspects of getting into trophy hunting, if that makes sense. So when the PS3 was out and trophies were a new thing, you kind of got into it not really knowing what you were getting into. And that's why people boosted multiplayers, and that's why people, did things, because you accidentally got into it, you looked into it, and you realized, wow, like I have to do this, this, and this, I'll do that. So it was almost like you accidentally got into it, right? I feel like nowadays when people get into trophy hunting, it almost has to be like a conscious decision that you make. You go and you look, and it's almost to the extent of it being too conscious of a decision that's being made, because people will not play games because of certain trophies. But yeah, you just, a lot of people, I think, get into trophies and they know what trophies are before they get into them, rather than just accidentally tripping into it and falling into it like it was on the earlier PS3 days. And I think that partially has to do with, obviously, there's a bigger influence going on. There's more people making videos. There's more YouTubers. There's more outlets. There's bigger outlets that are talking about it. So clearly there's more traction because more people are talking about it. But I think it also has to come down to, and I don't like this side of it, but it also comes down to the easy ass platinums, the easy peasy platinums. And we're not talking about the big AAA games that are easy, that are kind of easing people into trophy. And we're talking Radalika games. We're talking games that take 1 hour to get a platinum. I mean, back on the PS3 era, that was unthinkable to have a game that was 1 hour to get, you would play it for 1 hour to get the platinum. And then games like 1000 Top Rated, My Name is Mayo, all these games came out, and it's like, wait, like you can do this? And now it's kind of like it's like a standard in the industry now when it comes to trophies, which I think that's another thing, because people are actively paying, $5 to get these platinums, and it's a conscious decision that they're making, which gets into like a whole nother topic of like, is that even a way of, or is that even trophy hunting at that point? Because now you're just doing it for numbers rather than doing it to actually play games. To me, like, trophy hunting is you're playing games that you enjoy, you're doing everything in the game that you want to do, but you're also earning trophies and maybe doing a few various other things, or having to do like a little bit of a multiplayer grind, like having to do a little grind in the game. To me, that's trophy hunting, right? Like that's like trophy hunting to its purest form right there. When you have people going out and buying this game and stacking it 4 times and doing that, like, to me, that's not trophy hunting. You're just doing it for numbers at that point. Who knows why you're doing it for numbers? Because I don't know if you're doing it for, self-reflection of you're making progress. I don't know if you're trying to do it for clout. I don't know the reason behind why people stack these easy ass games. I truly don't. And yes, do I have stacks on my list? Sure, but the only stacks that I really have on my list are A, games that I absolutely love, and I will love playing it through a second time every second, or games where the multiplayer was going down and there was an option to basically get both games done in that time period. So I have games like Deformers, Drawn to Death, Burnout Paradise. I plan on doing all of the Assassin's Creed games again on the PS4. I plan on doing a lot of stacks because I really enjoy them. These are games that I enjoy, which gets into like, how do you define what stacks are good? If you're going to play through the game and you truly enjoy the game, then stacking it is fine. I feel like all these easy peasy ass platinums are just, to me, that's not trophy hunting. That's literally you trying to fulfill some sort of, I don't know what, and that's why you do it. Which is fine. If it makes you happy and that's what makes you happy, then do it. I'm not hating on anyone for doing it. Like, go ahead and do it. But I'm just talking about this is my personal opinion of defining trophy hunting. So I would say that I love that AAA games are easier to platinum nowadays to an extent, because it definitely is helping people get their foot in the door to it that aren't or weren't exposed to it previously. But I do not like all the easy ass platinums. And the funny thing is with the Rata games is, like, I would play them for a meme if there weren't 1 million stacks. And you know, some of them I do plan on playing just to play them. But I'm not going to stack them, you know, 50 fucking times or whatever. Like, it's just not going to happen for me. And I've done some to start off with, but you know, it's just, that just isn't for me. But I do think the main thing, yes, I think the PS5 activity cards do help, like you said, but I think the main thing is just big AAA games being easier to platinum. I think with that being a thing, it's helping people to get in, because no one wants to start trophy hunting and start off by doing Far Cry 2, you know? No one wants to do that. You know, you want to ease in and do something easy, and then maybe at some point you'll say, wow, I actually enjoy this. I want to take on this game that's like way bigger, and then I want to take on this game, and I want to take on and you kind of ease into that. You don't just start off saying, I want to do, you know, I want to go play this, get this like, that's, to me, that's how I see it from what's going on now. And like I said, it's mainly a conscious decision that people are making in order to get into trophy hunting nowadays. It's not something that somebody just, you know, pops in a thing and says, yeah, I'm gonna what is a trophy? You know what I mean? Like, I think you actively have to think about it in order to start. And that comes down to the trophy. That comes down to a whole different topic of, like, how trophy lists should be structured, which I could talk about for like days on end. How a trophy list should be structured, what type of trophy should be in it, all of that. I mean, I could talk about that forever, but it's good to have those easy games that ease people in, because then the community, it can help the community, and it's always going to be a growing community. I don't think it will ever be on a decline. It will always be something that's growing, unless some catastrophic thing happens that, like, every content creator and, you know, everybody stops talking about it, then maybe it is on the decline, but that's like the only thing I can see happening. But that is the last topic that I have here from last week's episode. So if you guys do have any topics that you want me to discuss in upcoming trophy talks, again, do leave those down in the comments below. I will, you know, field them, talk about them at the end of the episode after I've talked about everything else, and we can have a little bit of a discussion, hopefully. If you guys want to leave any responses to any of the topics talked about this week, you can also leave those down in the comments below. Again, I think I talked about this in last video, but I am technically working with a company now that provides some energy and workout supplements. Really will help you, you know, while you're getting through games or boosts or whatever. If you're feeling tired all the time, you know, go try one of these out. It is Rep Sports. So if you want to go check that out, there's a link down in the description below. It'll take you there. You can check out all types of stuff. And if you use my coupon code Snickel at checkout, you can get 15% off your order. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like. Again, leave any topics or anything down in the comments below. I love to read them all. Down in the description below, you'll find links to all types of stuff. My Twitter, my Twitch, our Discord. I have the podcast link down below as well. So if you want to go check any of that stuff out, I would greatly appreciate it. That is all down in the description below. Again, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like. If you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing for more trophy content like this. And I hope to see you all around sometime soon.